Hi guys, it's Jade and I'm a writer, and today I'm going to discuss good and bad book covers. So a bad book cover is going to be one that has no meaning, so as an author you put no thought into choosing your book cover, or it's just plain boring. So sometimes book covers are just not interesting and they are not really bringing people in. And those are the covers that you want to stay away from. So you don't want to do something like that isn't going to be helpful in grabbing the attention of readers, because your title of your book can only do so much. It all really comes from the cover. It is hard to say that yes, you don't want people to judge books by its cover, but that really is where the judgment of the book starts, is on the cover. And the cover is so important, and that's why it's important for you to choose a good cover as a writer. You want something that's going to be intriguing to people, so something that's going to draw your eyes. Like, for example, the Harry Potter book covers. Everyone can identify those, and they're intriguing and entertaining, and they actually tie to the story. So that's something else you want to focus on when you are writing your book and creating your cover, is you want your cover to also contribute to the story. It doesn't have to be telling the story or anything such as that. It just has to be introductory to the story. So nothing that's going to give away the story, but it can have connections. So with like the Harry Potter books, on some of the book covers, they have Harry riding a broom. So that gives to you the main character and that there's magic. And that's the type of thing that you want your book covers to have, is you want to be able to form those connections and be able to understand what kind of thing you're getting into with the book. That's where the judgment starts, with the people that are choosing to read your book. So if you really look at it, you're judging a cover of a book and you're deciding if you want to read it. That's how everyone decides if they want to read a book, really, is by the cover. The titles are amazing and they really do help, and I'll get into choosing a good title in one of my next videos. And you also want the title to be on the cover of your book. That's something that's really important, is your book needs to have its title on the cover of the book. There are some authors that don't put their title on their book, and that is their own decision, and sometimes that actually just goes really well with the type of book that they decided to write. It's also important that you choose a good and non-distracting font for your book cover, since fonts also tie to the intrigue of people. So if you have a good font that is appealing and not distracting, it's going to be very pretty, and then people are just going to want to read your book. I'll put up some good fonts to use based on the types of story that you're going to be reading. So for fantasy books, these are some good font ideas. For, let's say, more suspense or mystery, these are some good ideas for fonts. It's just important that with your cover that you're picking something that's gonna connect throughout your whole story. You don't have to put so much thought into the cover if you don't want to, but that is a good place to start. If you take amazing pride in the story that you wrote, wouldn't you want the cover to resemble that and reflect how much work you put into writing your story? The cover is just as important as the story itself. So that's why it's important on determining what's a good book cover and what's a bad book cover. I'll put up some examples of good book covers and then some examples of bad book covers real quick. And so you can decide with your own opinion why these book covers you think are good and are bad. Would you rather read the books that have these intriguing covers, or would you rather read the books that don't really draw you in too much? They're kind of bland or just not that well thought out. Not saying that the book isn't good. Sometimes the covers are bland as they are, just to connect to the story, as I stated before. you need to have your cover connect to your story, and that is something that's very important when choosing your cover. And this is actually one of the covers that I chose for one of my stories. The reason I chose this cover is that it ties to the darkness and the never ending, just really end all connection to the story. Because in this story, it talks about the death of a couple characters, and in the end, this is the kind of connections that you're going to make, is just a dark, endless hallway. So it's just putting thought into your cover, and those are what's important. So just enjoy what you're doing and have fun writing.